Hey, what's up, YouTube? Back making another video. I haven't made a video in a long ass time, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I've been super busy with work and life, and tending to the side effects of taking prednisone uh, for like a month straight. So I haven't made a video in like a month straight. Anyway, this video I'm going to review two relatively new TV shows that came out this year, starting with number one, Unchosen, and number two, Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen. I know it's a bad habit, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So the first one, Unchosen, it is set in modern day Ireland, and it is set in the backdrop of a cult. I don't really have any notes here. I'm just going off the cuff. These are like, I don't know what these notes are. These are like chord charts or chord diagrams. Not diagrams, just chords for a song I'm trying to learn and sing. Anyways, getting back to Unchosen, it's a 2026 Netflix drama, and I think it's set in Ireland. It doesn't say exactly where it's set, but I'm pretty sure it's Ireland based on the characters' accents and based on the fact that me and my partner had watched a prior Irish show, something about how to get to heaven or get to hell from Belfast, about three friends. Anyway, that's a show I'm not going to review because it's not my type of show. But yeah, I watched both Unchosen and Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen with my partner when they premiered. So let's go with the most recent one again, Unchosen. Again, set in Ireland. It's set in an area or in a social context milieu where it's highly suggested that they're in a Christian cult, right? And if you look at the trailers and things like that, it's really heavily suggested that they are in a cult. Well, that's one of the most disappointing aspects of the show. Like, this cult has their own construction companies. They use computers. They know how to use smartphones. They operate, equipment. They build schools. They do construction work. They do roofing. And there's really no other cult aspects other than, people get married young and the woman has to obey the wife. The wife has to obey the husband, just like it says in the Bible, so on and so forth. It's hardly a cult. I mean, if you go to like Pennsylvania, parts of Pennsylvania, you'll see Amish people. And those people are actually a lot more cult-like than anything on the show, Unchosen. The Amish people actually do not use cars. They actually do not use computers that I know of from documentaries I've seen. So right at the start, Unchosen is kind of given like a bad mark because there aren't really that many cult aspects to the show. They're just like really fundamentalist Christians. And I went to church growing up. It wasn't too, I mean, the stuff they talked about was not far at all. It's like 1 degree removed from how the elders spoke in my church. And this is in southern Texas back in the mid-90s. So to start off, like, if you think this is anything like The Handmaid's Tale, which I watched a little bit of the first season because I happen to like the main actress, because I like Mad Men. That's neither here nor there. If you like The Handmaid's Tale, this is not dystopian like that. It's not even close. Like, it's just a modern day, like, proto-Amish type of a society in Ireland. And they're basically a church and one big family. And I guess the only part of the organization that you could call that is cult-like is that, yes, they do isolate you from your family, and if you are in their bad graces, they will shun you from their community. And the worst thing they can possibly do to anybody is to have them leave or to kick them out of the community, which you see in the show, and that's like the ultimate punishment. Look, they don't kill people. It doesn't look to me as if they force their wives to have babies. I could be wrong. I mean, there are theories out there that Adam, the main character, was not actually aiming for the right place when he was, basically the R word on his wife. He was aiming somewhere else because, something, which we'll get to. So we have we have three main characters, or three main characters. So we have Rosie. Everybody's really well cast. We have Rosie, and she is the innocent, very young mother. She looks about like 20 or 21. She looks super young. And then we have Adam, who is her husband. Religious references much? Adam? Really? Anyway, so we have Rosie and Adam, and they're married, and they have a daughter. It's suggested in the show that they want to have more children, maybe more sons, but definitely more children, and for some reason they aren't able to. And so, just to spoil everything, just because I don't recommend watching this show. This show is like 8 hours of just a waste of time. I mean, you could put this in a 1 hour TV show and that's it. Hands off, and we're done. So I'll spoil it. So the husband Adam is gay, and he's a closeted gay person, and he's also part of the leadership hierarchy of the church, of the community, right? So that's where it's all set. That's what is existing. Those are the facts on the ground as we get to the first scene of the first season. There's only one season, so it's a limited series. Okay, and that's where the third character comes in. His name is Sam Devlin. Again, super easy references. We're really dumb audiences. We need the bad guy to have devil in his name. Sam Devlin, yes. Otherwise, it just won't work. He can't be called Sam Brown or Sam Smith. He has to be called Sam Devlin. It shows you how ridiculous the show is. So Sam is an escaped convict. And when I say that the characters are really well cast, that is about the only good thing I can say about the show. So Rosie really looks like Rosie. She really acts like the Rosie that was written to be her. Same with Adam. They're really good actors, and the same is the case with Sam Devlin, or Sam Carter once he changes his name when he gets in the cult. Anyway, so there's some weird thing about the cult about not allowing women or girls to learn how to swim, or maybe it applies to all cult members, in which case this would be totally stupid and suicidal, So one day Rosie's daughter, who's about 6 or 7 years old, she wanders into like a swampy area. There's like a bog or a lake, a man-made pool of water, and she starts drowning, and Rosie's like right on her heels basically, but she can't swim, and so she sees her daughter's head dipping underwater. That's like, bye-bye, my daughter's dead. And then miraculously, seconds later, she sees Sam bringing her daughter up. And you can immediately see that Sam is what you would call a conventionally attractive person. He is very muscular. You can see his large frame and physique and so forth. And I'll go into this more later, or I'll go into it now. Now, the actor they cast for Sam had a very particular look about him, which is why I think the casting in this show deserves special praise, if nothing else. I mean, the show is a complete joke. The casting is amazing. So the character Sam, I don't know the name of the actor who played him, some Irish actor, some British actor, I don't know the name of, but he has a way, like he has a face and certain expressions about him that make him feel as if he can be both charming on the one hand and also extremely creepy and manipulative on the other hand. Like you can literally see the good versus evil in his face, and it all depends on the context and on the scenes. So what happens is he's an outsider. He comes into their community, and your expectations get messed with, because even though he's a criminal, we imagine him as the savior of Rosie's daughter, and Rosie is starved for actual love. Okay, her husband does not love her. When they engage in sexual coitus, she's facing one side of the bed, he's on the other side, he's humping her. We don't even know if it's in the right hole, because Adam turns out to be gay. I think I said that already. So she's looking for that love. She's looking for that experience, that ecstasy of being with somebody that um, loves you and loves your body and so on and so forth. So she starts having an affair with Sam, who gives her all that, and everything is peachy. And we are the audience is told, about halfway through the show that Sam, he may have committed some crimes, he may have made some mistakes in his youth, but he's more or less a good guy. Oh, and by the way, Sam looks, to me, he looks a little bit like the kid from E.T. but grown up. Um, but anyway, so that's what they suggest. He's a good guy, but he's had some trouble in life. He deserves a fresh start, but he's a good guy and he'll protect Rosie and her daughter, which turns out not to be the case, because eventually we learn that Sam is a master manipulator. He manipulated Rosie. He manipulated Adam, okay, from a stray remark, an extremely stray remark during a fight Adam had with his brother, who the latter was kicked off the cult because he was having an affair with a woman on the outside. There was a stray remark that if you're not Irish, if you're not British, you may not even know what it means. I didn't know what it meant. I had to see it on Reddit. But there's a stray remark about guys sleeping with other guys who are working construction or what have you, that came up in a fight. And Sam immediately picked up on it. And he knew immediately, I can use this as leverage. And that's exactly what he did. So later that night, he drove down to Adam, and he and Adam were already buddy. Adam was super impressed with Sam's know-how in terms of construction work and being loyal to him, and obviously he was sexually attracted to Sam. So Sam comes back that night and he puts his phone on record on his dash, and he walks up 10 feet and he takes off his pants, and Adam starts to give him oral sex. Man-to-man oral sex. That is really bad evidence that he's got. But then the show just starts not making sense. Like, his brother was going to come back, Sam's brother was going to come back and tell him, hey, this Sam Devlin guy, you can't trust him. Because, his original crime was murdering an underage girl. And I don't think there are any excuses for that. I mean, I guess she was like 15 or 16. There are no excuses for murdering underage people. Those people are underage. That's why we call them children. You're not supposed to kill children. But, yeah, I mean, so the brother comes down and he's like trying to warn them, and they don't listen to him. And Sam is so locked in to psychopathy that he hatches a plan to kill the brother and pin it on the leader. Okay? And while all this is happening, if the leader gets incapacitated, dies, or something happens to him, then Adam is the next guy to step up and lead the community. That's how the power structure had worked then. And even after this incident, Sam was suggesting to Adam, saying, hey, you're just not cut out for this. You're too much of a softie, implying, his gayness. You're not cut out for this. I can do this. So we already know that Sam has designs. Sam has a desire to be a cult leader. And that's exactly what happens in the end. Now, nothing bad happens. Rosie doesn't die. Her daughter doesn't die. We don't know what happened to Adam. I think Adam may have killed himself. But the ending was just all over the place. Just so many plot holes. They already realize Sam is evil, a psychopath. Yet when he like chases them in the car and they get up to a tree where they can move no further, he opens the door for Sam. Whereas if it was me, I would just back my car into the mofo, because he's a murderous, villainous killer, a liar and a cheat. And so the ending is Sam becomes the new cult leader of that cult. And that's it. And so I would rate this show a 4 out of 10, maybe a 5 out of 10. It's really not all that good. It's really not like Netflix's best stuff. It's not even close. Bad habit, I know. So moving on to the second review, and again, the cult aspect, they're selling it as if, if you, for people who like to watch cult stuff, you're not going to enjoy it. It's not a cult. It's a tight knit, fundamentalist Christian community. That's all. It's not a cult. They don't kill each other and things like that. Okay, moving on to the next show, which is more interesting, and which I'll give a higher score. And this one I also watched with my partner, and it's called Something Very Bad Is About to Happen, or Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen. And it's about the prenuptial days of our main character, Rachel. I don't know the actress's name, but she hit it out of the fucking ballpark. She carried the show. I mean, everybody else was just kind of average in terms of acting, but she just carried the show. But this one I won't spoil too much, just because it does have a plot, and it does have, like payoffs and endings and climaxes and stuff like that. But the premise is, or not the premise, but the question that the show wants you to ask yourself is, if you're married or if you're in a long-term relationship, how do you know this person is your soulmate? How do you know? Is there an objective measure that he or she is my soulmate? So it plays around with that question. And it also has a very feminist bent to it. And by that I mean, after you get to the end of the show, the entire messaging seems to be, believe women. Do not discount women's worries and stories and what have yous. Believe women, basically. And it's branded as a horror suspense show, and I think it does a really good job. But it does play with your expectations, because once you get to episode 4, everything you had thought in episode 1, 2, and 3, it was the creepy family that got turned up on its head. So it definitely is a better show. However, I have a lot of nitpicks with the finale and how the actual curse works, because it just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, why did Nikki not die? Okay, and this is kind of spoiler territory, so if you don't want to get spoiled, stop watching. Why did Nikki not die? Why did Portia die? Well, Portia died because she married somebody, some rando in Las Vegas. But yeah, it just didn't make sense. How did Rachel get resurrected after dying the same way her mom did? So the finale leaves you a lot to be desired. And I don't want to make this video too long, so I'll make one last point of this show, Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen. I would rate it a 6, maybe a 7 out of 10. If you like horror, you might like it. If you like relationship dramas, you might like it. And so the last point I'll bring up on that show, Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen, is it's very, okay, so the two main characters are boyfriend and girlfriend, fiancés, getting married within a week and planning it and all that. But we don't get to see their dynamic as much after the first episode. And we learn along the way that one of them is very different from the other. They're just very different people, They probably are not soulmates, just very different people. So all of this comes to a head in the finale, where they have this huge argument scene about their relationship, about the investment that either one of them had in the relationship and in the other person. And it's one of those argument scenes that if you're watching with like your SO or your partner, your wife, your husband, it might get a little bit uncomfortable, because it's really spicy. It's a really spicy argument scene. I watched it with my girlfriend, and we were like, yeah, that's kind of a bad argument, but it wasn't uncomfortable for us. Yeah. Anyway, 2 shows reviewed. The Unchosen, I'll be generous, the casting was phenomenal, but 5 out of 10. And Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen, 7 out of 10. Too many plot holes. But yeah, Thanks for watching.